Hello students. So today we are going to take a topic known as a question tag. Now what is a question tag? A question tag are short questions added to the end of a sentence to ask for confirmation. Now what is the meaning of this? This means that we are not asking for an answer, we are reconfirming an answer. Let's look at the examples given. It isn't very cold today. The question tag that we add is it. So over here, we are not expecting an answer because we are saying that it is very cold today. So is it is a reconfirmation of the statement that today indeed is very cold. This will work well. Won't it? Again, we are reconfirming the statement, not asking for an answer. So, question tags are short questions which we add to the end of the sentence. So, when we say students end of the sentence, you have to write the entire sentence with a comma and then add the question tag and give a question mark. If the format is not in this order, I'll tell you students, your answer will be wrong. So let's look at the few rules, structures and how to go about this question tag. The structure of the question tag is the sentence and auxiliary. Maybe it's a positive auxiliary or a negative auxiliary, and it will always end with a pronoun. Please remember students that there will be no other form of noun except a pronoun to end your question tag. Let's look at the common rules that we follow now. If the sentence is affirmative, affirmative means a positive sentence, the tag is a negative tag. For example, Sunita was called. Now, Sunita was called is an affirmative or a positive statement. So, the tag that is given to it is wasn't she. Look at the structure of it. Let's go back. The sentence, the auxiliary and the pronoun, that is she. So, auxiliary over here is a positive or a negative. Wasn't she is a negative auxiliary. So, Sunita was called wasn't she. Now, let's look at the second example. If the sentence is negative, then the tag will be affirmative. That is, the tag will be a positive tag. The project hasn't been approved. Now, over here, the sentence hasn't is a negative sentence. So, the tag is always a positive one which ends has it being the pronoun and the question mark. So students, let's look at some of the positive auxiliaries and the negative auxiliaries that will be most commonly used in question tag. The first one is. The negative is isn't, are, aren't, am. Now over here with am, you will never use the word amn't because there is no word called amn't. So we generally use aren't. So, please pay attention again. Are and am will have the same negative auxiliary, that is aren't. The next one is was, wasn't, were, weren't, do, don't, does, doesn't, did, didn't, has, hasn't, have, haven't, had, hadn't, will, won't, would, wouldn't, and the last one is must, mustn't. So these are your positive auxiliaries and your negative auxiliaries. Now let's see how we use pronouns in a question tag. So let's look at the subjects. If the sentence has a singular subject, the pronouns used for a singular subjects are he, she, it, I. And if the sentence has multiple or plural subjects, then the pronouns used are you, we, they. I repeat it again, the positive or the negative tags will always end with pronouns. So that means these are the things that will end your question tag. Now let's look at some rules. The first one, simple present tense. Now over here, if you notice, I baked delicious cookies. Now we do not have any kind of an auxiliary. So when we don't have any auxiliary, we will always be using the word don't. That is the negative of do. I bake delicious cookies, don't I? Simple past tense. The maid lived in a small hut. Didn't she? The same formula what we applied over here. We do not have an auxiliary. So for the simple past, we always use didn't. That is the auxiliary of did. So students, let's see what happens when a sentence has the main verb has, have and had. Look at the examples that are given to you. Gavin has to apologize. This is an obligation. So when you have has over here as the main verb, you will always be using does or doesn't. So Gavin has to apologize. The question tag will be doesn't he, because this is an obligation. Let's look at the second example given over here. You have your dinner at 8 p.m. It's a habit. So we see when we have the main verb as have, over here you will be using do or don't. So you have your dinner at 8 p.m. Don't you will be your question tag. Look at the third example given over here. Tom had a pug. This is a possession. A possession means ownership, something that you have of your own. So here we are saying that Tom had a pug, that is in the past tense. So again, had, which is the main verb, will be supported by did or didn't. So let's look at the sentence again. Tom had a pug, didn't he? Because this sentence denotes possession. The same way, let's look at something new and different that is known as the imperative sentences. Like in every subject you have rules, also in every subject you have certain things that breaks the rules, and imperative sentences break the rule here. They do not follow the rule of an affirmative sentence having a negative question tag or a negative sentence having an affirmative question tag. In imperative sentences, the tag is always a positive tag. So let's look at the few examples that are given here. The first one, get up, which is an order. The question tag is will you. Please lend me a pen. This is a request. The question tag given is again will you. Get some rest. This is an advice. The question tag again is will you. Let's not argue. That's a suggestion. Shall we? If you notice, in all the four examples that you've been given here, the question tags have always been a positive ones. Moving on, let's see what happens when you do not have a specific subject, but subject which mentions this, that, these and those. So let's look at the examples. This is not true. We go back to the rule 1. That is, the sentence is a negative sentence and the tag comes back to being a positive tag. This is not true, is it? The second one, those boys are really naughty. An affirmative sentence having a negative tag, aren't they? Now what is the rule of this? If the subjects are this, that, you will end the tag with the pronoun it. And if the subjects are these and those, you will end the question tag with the pronoun they. That means this, that is singular, these, those are plural. Going on to the next, that is when the subject is there. There is a beautiful pond in that kingdom. Isn't there? Now, there means a specific place, a distance. So we do not change the question tag's pronoun and we let it remain the same. That means if the subject is there, the pronoun for the question tag will also be the same, that is there. The next is when the subject is nobody, somebody, no one, someone. Now let's see how we go about these rules. Nobody helped. Did they? Someone has misbehaved. Haven't they? Now over here, when we say nobody, that means we take a group and we denote each person in that group saying that nobody has helped. So the question tag will end with a plural they. Same thing over here in the second example. Someone has misbehaved, haven't they? That means someone, a group of people, and from there someone. So over here again the question tag will end with the pronoun they. So let's look at the rule. Pronoun always they will be singular verb and a plural verb. The last one, where words like hardly, barely, scarcely, seldom. Now these sentences already have the tone of negation. That means when we say hardly, not regular. Barely, again not regular. Scarcely, very rare. Seldom, once in a while. So, when the sentences are with these words, your tags will always be positive. Let's look at the examples. Radha hardly comes to school. Radha is not regular to school. That's the meaning of this sentence. So when we use the word hardly, this shows us that the sentence is a negative sentence. So the question tag will be a positive one. Radha hardly comes to school, does she? You seldom disagree with her. You rarely or you do not disagree with her often. So again, the question tag is a positive one. You seldom disagree with her, do you? Remember students, in this case, the tag is always a positive one.